Thank you, Kanika. Welcome, friends, and welcome to the fourth edition of FranStart. This is designed to reach out to potential brand owners, entrepreneurs who are now starting their franchise journey. We have covered, as Kanika has already told, a lot of things in the last three webinars, and all three are available on Facebook of Franchise India brand. So if you missed anything, and especially for people who are joining today, it's very important for you to go and see the first three episodes because there's a lot of content, and more importantly, the foundational content. Because today, what I'm going to cover is actually going to be based and more clearer only when you have done the first three. So we've covered the foundation. We talked about the framework, as Kanika said, the framework of franchising. Also covered on how to build your franchise development program, which is something which Franchise India and Francorp, which is the world's #1 consulting firm, with Franchise India. So we work on that. We also touched upon franchise selection. We talked about legal issues. We talked about a particular theory, which I am a big believer of, and I created that theory called Picasso theory. So Picasso theory is also covered. We also covered about science of franchising, which is the biology, the maths, the chemistry and physics of franchising. Very, very interesting. If you missed it, please go out and check on that. And finally, we also covered the IMME theory, which is also part of something which I've been practicing for very long. So today we're going to go into next part. So first cycle is when you really start, why you want to get into franchising, making yourself franchise ready, getting your team in place, putting your franchise sales engine in place. And once you have already started getting franchisees, it would shift your focus, or I would say bring in another big focus, is how you want to manage your franchise network. So from today, we will shift. We've been actually doing how to get into franchising and how to get your franchises on board, which means selling your franchise and so on and so forth. That part is over now. Now we will touch on something which is very difficult part in most of the franchise organizations. It's easy to really get started in franchising and get some early franchises on board, but I've realized that they have not been so successful in management of franchising. Rather, I will give you a statistics, which is only 30% of franchisers would have a successful networks, sustainable networks over the time. And this is something which I had an opportunity to work with a lot of global companies, and I've learned the best practices of franchising. So I'm going to share that today with all of you, that how you really successfully manage your franchise network. And that's going to be a topic. And use the Q&A box to ask questions. As many questions you would ask, more we will be able to take your feedback. And I will also be able to answer your questions. Can you see this slide?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, let's get started because we have to cover a lot. So what are we going to cover in franchise management? We're going to talk about the selection, onboarding of new franchisees. How do you really select a franchise? How do you get him on board? We'll also talk about the pre-opening strategy. We also talk about the opening and launch guidelines. We'll talk about the 3-month incubation period. How do you really incubate a new franchisees who are coming on board? We'll also talk about the fifth point is first audit report, which is FAR, and PL calculation, which is why it is so important. We'll also further go out into, so I will divide normally in any franchisee which comes on board, I will put them into a pre-opening structure, very different focus, 3 months of incubation plan, 3 months of sustenance plan, 6 months of sustenance plans, and 6 months of growth plan. So technically, any franchisee would be about running an 18-month kind of a plan. 3-month pre-opening, 3-month incubation, 6 months sustenance, 6 months growth. If you are able to scientifically go and put this 18-month of strong plan with every single franchisee which comes on board, you'll find the franchisee would have much higher performance and longevity with the company, and they would continue to stay and be excited about that. We'll also talk about the focus franchisees and their revival plan and why they become focused and how you identify them, how do you get their problem identified much early before it becomes a painful side of the business. We'll also talk about the adaptation, innovation, and implementation cycle. Very, very important, because now you're running a network. When you're running a network, you have independent owned, independent operated franchises. Franchisees has a motivation to continue to change things, which you don't allow them to do that. But as a system, you need to really see how do you continue to adapt in every market? How do you create your innovation cycles? And how do you go and implement? Because implementation in a franchise network is a bigger problem. is a bigger problem. A lot of people say why a McDonald's would not create regular menu updations and things like that. It's easy. They have so much ready with them and so much content they really pick up, so much trials, so much. They have another hamburger university in Chicago, which is a big university. So they have all that available. But when you look at a network of 40,000 franchisees spread all over the world, to implement any change is not that easy. It takes a lot of great abilities. There is a book written on Dunkin' Donuts founder, actually. The president and CEO wrote a book on Dunkin' Donuts, how he changed the strategy. It's a beautiful book. If somebody wants to really talk about innovation in franchising, that book would be a very ideal book to read. And then finally, we will also talk about the ERR plan, how you launch the ERR plan. So let's get started. So first thing first, when you are looking at getting into franchisee, shift your mindset from sales to selection. It's all about selection. It's nothing about sales. Remember what I said when I started this whole series. The franchise literal meaning is rights of privilege granted. You're giving the privilege of your brand, you're giving the privilege of your systems to somebody else. And if you're not doing the whole selection process, it would never go through. You never get the right quality of franchises. To me, a lot of young franchisers come to me and say, I want to grow very fast. I say, don't worry about growing fast. Growing the first few franchisees and getting them selected right and making them successful is a bigger task. And if you're able to get that part right, your numbers would continue to grow. But otherwise, it would always have an issue. You will go to a certain size and then you have skill correction, a lot of attritions would continue to happen, and then also a lot of legal issues which can come in. Every franchisor has to have, would have some kind of attrition, but you need to have the minimum percentage of that attrition to do that. So how do you really do the selection? Let's understand the first piece, which is profiling of a franchisee. How do you profile your franchisee? Again, go back to what I put this in my earlier slides. The 4 things which we talked about, the 4 fits, which is strategic, operational, marketing, and financial. 4 fits, which are the analysis which need to be done. Apart from these 4 fits, 5 other things which are very, very important when you select is the maturity of a franchisee, his objectivity, why he wants to take your brand and what he wants to achieve out of that, his experience, his creativity, and his integrity towards your brand. So that's very, very important. Also understand his strength and weakness. While you would appreciate, nobody would 100% be fit. Not there is no franchisee profile which comes and say, oh, I always wanted him. It'll be always some strength and weakness. Whatever weakness you see in a particular franchise profiling, like for example, Eurokids, when we started, we saw a woman entrepreneur would be a better choice to run preschools. But we almost all women we found didn't do business at all. And they didn't have basic accounting capabilities, business management, managerial capabilities. So we brought in a program for training, looking at the larger weakness which comes in a profile. So you can really find out in your larger profile which you're getting, and you're finding almost everybody needs assistance in that. Add that in your training module. Build your skill up for your franchisee. That's very, very important. Like for example, a lot of retail franchisee, we did a program for one of the big fashion retail companies, and we found that everybody who came there was a very strategic investor who had a property on a right spot. And because they have the right location, most of the franchisee would not bring anything beyond that, which means that they would bring in a store on Linking Road, and they would feel that now the customer acquisition would be done just by being on the top prime location. So the franchisee was not putting any effort post that on bringing the customer in, and never focused on building what I call the last mile customer experience. So these were 2 important areas which came in very clearly in the fashion franchisee. We found that this is a weakness in almost every franchisee we get on board. They are good, their financial profile is good, the location is good, everything else is tick mark, but these 2 things are missing. So these would become the training module, how to teach franchisee that how they get more customers in there and how they would continue to see retention value. A lot of franchisees don't know how many customers on a weekly basis they are acquiring new and how many they are retaining. That's a kind of a structure. So understand their strength and weakness, spell out expectation. That's very, very important. When you have a franchisee interview going on, spell out the expectation very, very clearly. At that stage, I would say the franchisee are much more acceptable to the facts. They are much more acceptable to the facts. But after that, anytime after that, it's become very difficult. It becomes extremely difficult. Even if the franchisee is making a lot of money, is highly performing, he will not accept anything which is new being given to them. Rather, all the conflicts really happen on the expectation alignment. So this is a great time for you to set expectation. Rather call for it and say, let's set up a 2-hour discussion to set our expectation and then document all action points. That's very, very important. Start a habit of documenting everything you discuss with your franchisee. No verbal communications which are not documented. Absolutely no verbal communication. And also tell your habit to your franchisee managers also. Any kind of communication they are doing, it's all in order. Sometimes your franchise managers would go and become creative and they start writing mails independently, which are not solicited. And they are sending the mails like, oh, I will ensure profitability. I will ensure hiring of your people. I will ensure that you're making a lot of financial commitments. These commitments are all valid in the court, right? So you might think that these are not documented agreements, but they can also become a very, very strong hindrances later. So be very clear that you don't make any kind of a financial commitment. Understand the legal contract. Another big problem I've seen in a lot of franchise networks is that they would do a lot of LOIs. And after LOI, they would start working with the franchisee, getting the store done and everything else. And they have not signed the formal contract. And when the store is really about to launch and they're chasing the contract, the franchisee is not really ready to sign some of the terms. Now, this is a wrong position. Both sides are already invested, and both sides being invested. And if you have a conflict on the contract, somebody would need to make a big compromise. And most of the time, that time is normally a franchisor who would have to negotiate few terms or structure because you have already gone ahead and that level, especially if you're a small franchisor. In a bigger case, in a larger companies, it would be a franchisee who would suffer because now he will be surprised on things which he doesn't know and he doesn't respect the brand. So it's very important. I would say don't even start your franchise activation journey unless and until you have done a full contract with the franchise partner. That's very important. Then onboarding process, 1 week of training. This is something which is only 90% of companies, while they would all claim that we provide you training, they don't have a franchisee onboard training manual. This is one of the areas which FranCop and Franchise India strongly works on. You need to have at least 1 week, and sometimes even more. Good companies would have training modules for 15 days, 1 month kind of thing, where you actually teach the franchisee how to build his successful business. He needs to know everything about running and operating a business. That's something which is important. A lot of people skip that and they just try to do sport, which is instruction-based sport, and say, do this and do that. But somebody has not gone through the whole system. And this is also about how to live the brand. What is the culture? What kind of organizational capabilities they need to do? What resources they need to have that? All that, every single day, one topic at that point, and do structure so well that it encourages them to develop their own business plan. So I will always design a 7-day structure, and also at the end of this structure, he would start developing every day. When you end, he has to write his business plan. So every day when you're moving to 7 days, 7th day, your business plan is ready. It's like a box manual, completely done. So this becomes an action plan. Now understand that if you 7 days build your own business plan, now you're more excited. You're excited to go through. You understand every smallest part of your business. That's where it really has to do that. This is something which I would say most of the companies are missing. And this is a problem area. And rather, a lot of people come to me and say, I want the consulting done and the business model to be ready. I say, if you really want to work with a good consultant, really ask him to do a lot of manuals for you and detailed manuals. That's very, very important. And I can tell you outside FranCop, because FranCop is globally the biggest consulting firm and actually been recognized only by putting these processes and systems. Also define pre-launch obligations on both ends. That's very, very important. Now, pre-opening. Pre-opening also comes with a manual. So this is the pre-opening manual, which is given to the franchisee. The day he signs a contract, he's given this pre-opening manual. Now, pre-opening manual is actually a 12-week by week directional manual. From week 1 to even open up his bank account is defined in that. Bank account, GST number, all that pieces which is going to go required for your businesses, getting your business insurance, getting your site done, getting your site approved, all the recognized vendors. If you have to start civil work right now, but if you have to order equipment or anything which needs to be at what stage, what date, looking at the lead time. I see a lot of confusions happening in this. Sometimes franchisee is ready with his interiors and he doesn't know when to order because the time of order was not done. The day franchisee gives you the money and his expectation starts ticking up because it's cost of capital. So you need to have in this manual everything defined. I'm working with a Spanish company to bring them to India, and we're working on last 1.5 months to just define who are the vendors, which market they would be able to serve, what is their aftermarket service, what kind of AMCs they would have to sign. All that cost analysis we're trying to work on so that we are perfect when we really open up this business. We are absolutely right. Once you have given the manual, the franchisee has his own obligation. You have his own obligation. Normally, I would assign a NSO team, new store opening team, or a new location opening team. So put a pre-opening defined team. They have job is to finish this structure in a very important. Another thing which I've realized is that if you are reactive or proactive, you have to be proactive. If you are reactive, if your franchisee is calling you and I say, now what I have to do, what is the next step? Then he's already losing interest because he's like chasing you. If you are proactive, you are giving him timelines, setting timelines backwardly from the opening date. I would first put some kind of a firm timelines and put also opening date. This is my opening date, and let's work 3 months backward, or 2 months backward, or 4 months backward, depending on the project and the structure which you are doing that. And also very clearly define the working capital required in this period, because this is something which is normally not sitting in your financial projections. You've done that. And the working period, you might have to pay a few months of rent before he's ready to do that. So whatever that piece is required in the pre-opening space is very, very important. Have all the vendors and suppliers approved. This is one of the areas which a lot of franchisees really come in with a request and say, I am somebody who can locally supply, he can do faster, he can do cheaper. Should I get that? And this is sometimes a lot of franchisees push you. Answer is that there is always a cheap option of everything, right? And most of the good vendors would be always expensive, a little expensive because they have to service you all markets. So they would be a little expensive than that, I think. But I would strongly say nothing changes in the business. Define very clearly a transparent cost and pricing. Be very transparent. Don't hide anything. Don't structure anything, but stick to that. You have to have your recognized vendors and suppliers. Weekly calls to be done. Maintain zero downtime. Franchisees don't like downtimes. If there are 3 days they're sitting, nothing is moved in and nothing is going on, he feels it is a cost and also opportunity loss. So please make sure that you maintain zero downtime. Hiring of the team, exactly 1 month before that. You have to be having a good capability to help the franchisee hire the team exactly 1 month. Put a little bit buffer, because if you lose somebody, it should not be surprised. I've seen people are opening and they suddenly saw that out of the 8 people which are required to open up the business, 4 have already left. So it's a wrong start, because you would be under efficient, you not be having the right kind of capability. A good company would always forecast right and put a lot of focus on getting people right. That's very, very important. And don't encourage sending teams from regional locations and things of that nature, because sometimes adaptability for the team at new markets is not so good, and they are not able to adapt and they would return back to their own cities. This would not, especially in these times, I will absolutely not encourage. I will encourage that you hire local and train enough. That's the model which we need to do. Hire local as possible, so that you are able to manage and maintain better teams. Like, for example, a company we are advising called Kareem. Now, I've just advised them because they were sending chefs from Delhi to other places, and sooner or later they would not be able to service that, because somebody who's working in Delhi is in different comfort. If I send him to work in, say, a smaller city, they might not have that comfort there, and they might return because the families are here, everything is there. And once you have a business which is so dependent on this chef, and he's moved out back without giving you notice, and he comes back and joins another job in Delhi because Delhi is his hometown, you are left with the franchisee having no option, or he will start diluting the quality. Both are very, very damaging business. So always hire local. 1 month team training, very important. Again, you have to have a training module. So I've given you now, this is another manual which needs to be done. So we have done a pre-opening manual, and we have now done a training manual for your team, and 1 month training and what needs to be done. Then you do the first inspection. This inspection should be done exactly 2 weeks before the opening. Before opening, you should do first inspection, and this inspection should be on the project, quality, suppliers, everything else, depending on what business you are in. You might be service business, a retail business, or even any kind of business. Whatever the business setup required, it would have to be adapted to that business, but you need to do a first inspection of that. Send your operational team 1 week before the launch. So your team, which is now going to be transferred from NSO is new store opening team, a new location opening team, and now it shifts to your ops team, and ops teams would go there. And then we do the second inspection, which is the opening inspection report. This report is very well designed and shared with the franchisee. And if you find that everything is fine, then you get into the next thing, which is launch planning. Now, launch planning would be given a very detailed operational manual and a launch manual. So another manual has come in now. So you have done pre-opening manual, you have training manual, now you have operational manual and a launch manual. Never start with a grand launch. Actually, I don't want to call this as a launch. This is a start of operations, because unless and until you teach anything, and it's so many times, but the people would not be practically understanding that unless and until they are trading. They are doing some form of trading, right? So I will always start with a soft launch. I will never do a grand launch, because this would also tell you how to really put an operational manual in the system, right? Because they're now dealing with direct customers. They are talking to customers. They're doing it. It's very, very important. Any kind of business which is there, don't start with a grand launch. Don't let a franchisee. He has always emotion that I'm launching a business and I want to really, somebody wants to see the last slide. Okay. And I will share the slides also with you, whatever you want to do that. And you can send your email ID. So don't have to worry and take pictures. I will send you the full presentation. It's not a problem. This is for us public document. We were more happy to do that. So coming on launch, never start with a grand launch. Start with a soft launch. Encourage a small PR, soft PR. Don't overdo entire thing, and soft communications. Daily one process and on work training and scorecard to be maintained. So every day pickup process, right? Every day a pickup process. Even say for that matter, it's hygiene. So that's a process. What are we doing? How are we implementing? Who was the process lead? Everybody is following that, and make everybody one day, one team member in charge to run a process, so that the collective knowledge of everybody is grown. I've realized that organizations sometimes are designed now, the whole way of a very, supervisional way of designing organization is dead and over, especially with COVID. I think that's finished. I am encouraging even my teams now to break this whole hierarchy structure. There should be no that you report to him and he reports to him. So everybody giving instruction to anybody. It's now very collaborative. Develop the people's skills that we are collaborative, so they know everybody is trained largely, or at least understand different roles which happens and how it gets collaborated within the environment, and create some kind of a process leads, somebody who is owner of the process and make sure that the process is well led and so forth. That's what I want to call the future of organizations, how it would be designed. And a lot of technology companies were already doing that. They are efficiently done that. But I think even non-technology companies would have to look at a new way of designing their organization, rather than old school of multiple hierarchy of supervision of people and so on and so forth. So now these days people would work remotely, they would work independently, and they have to have a very strong collaborative, because they all connected to each other for different roles and structure. And this also really shifts away too much focus on too much skilled person, because then it becomes an issue with the franchisee. If this too skilled person is not there in the system, the business is collapsed. If everybody is relatively equally trained and they are running the processes, and processes are so well defined that they are kind of idiot proof, then it is much easier to do that. Focus on SOPs to be implemented. Every single thing would tempt people to stop focusing on that. Stop filling the information, stop filling the structure. So reports not to be filled. Every job which is done after 1 hour, if something has to be written, has to be written. That's very, very important to continue to challenge them and do this. Unless and until, I will again give you my theory of what I would say. In any consulting role, I would always try to find the common sense. What is a common sense, Stephen? Then common sense would tell you a common practice, and common practice would become common purpose. So then they would drive purpose. But if you don't bring the common sense to them and say, this is what is required, this is what has to be done, and that becomes common practice, you no more have to tell them, this becoming practice, and then they start serving the larger purpose, why the brand and what brand stands for and so on and so forth. So it all is very clearly linked on that. Weekly operational audit report. That's very, very important. Again, audit formats, Francopt creates very, very detailed formats, which we work on that. Encourage franchisee to participate in this whole process. Now, sometimes companies are too good. They know how to do that, but they don't really let the franchisee. Franchisee looks like an outsider. I would say everything which is done from pre-opening to till down, the franchisee has to lead, giving the excitement of it is his business, it's his startup. He needs to take that entire thing and then plan your grand launch day. Now, 3-month incubation process. Now, this is a time where almost every franchisee either would make or break. This is one of the very, very important aspects. I've realized that a franchisee works in 3 stages: dependent, interdependent, independent. And that's how I designed the business model, is that dependent is where he doesn't know business. While the launch is great, got good sales, initial hype is looking well, everything is right, but business is not there. And even if you get this very big hype, I've seen businesses with starting as a huge success, and the same franchisee closing down in 3-4 months, 5 months. Huge success of start, 4-5 months, companies closed. Why? He was not able to, and it just crashed because hype was not real. It was being just created, and those hypes have no meaning to me. So that's why a lot of times you don't see a big jazz of a KFC opening up anywhere. You don't see really articles, magazines, this and that. They do it every day. They open up stores every day. What they are more concerned is that the first 3 months, a lot of challenges happening in the store. They focused on that rather than just creating a noise for that particular day that they opened up. They would just come out and say, now we're open. That's it. They would not even go out and put to the world and things. These are entrepreneurial emotional things which has no impact on the business. The business is really go out and tell people that we are open, we are serving now, we are ready to do that. This can be a retail front, it can be a service business, it is direct to home, any kind of franchise, it can be any kind of business franchise. Don't really see your launch as the final answer. This is 3 months is going to be very important. So focus on daily performance reports. Never ignore them. Even if you feel that your team is there on the site, on the business, and you don't need it, answer is no, absolutely. This is a habitual structure. If you don't put early habits in life, you will not be able to do that. A lot of things we really learn from our own lives. Whatever we have actually been habitual on when we were growing up, stay with us. Anything which we try to put now, it takes a lot of effort and you still don't come in. I mean, somebody was health conscious even when you're growing up, it will always stay with you, right? If your parents taught you yoga, it will stay with you in life. And later in the life, you want to really adapt that. It's very rare you will be able to do that. So early learnings are very, very important. Weekly audits of the business, very important. Weekly refresher trainings, continue to do that. Focus on incremental growth and monitoring. This is something extremely, extremely important. Incremental growth is a very conscious work to do that. How do business improve every single day? Every single day, challenge the function. Say you are a business which needs delivery and your delivery timings was average week was 46 minutes. So in week 2, target should be that I want to bring it to 40 minutes. Week 3 would be 35 minutes. Week 4 would be 30 minutes. And that's running towards the benchmark. And sometimes the benchmark is also not right. Benchmark can also be challenged and see how we can even be further. So continue to up your benchmark, continue to do that. Create your incremental growth and monitoring. This is something which makes organizations impacting. Everybody remembers Domino's 30-minute challenge, but this 30-minute challenge would have come with so many incremental growths before they can go out and publicly say, we deliver in 30 minutes. This is not easy. This has taken them years to come down to take that challenge and say, we deliver in 30 minutes, right? Because they have done a lot of work to make it efficient. They know from getting the order to process internally and the delivery time, everything to be done in 30 minutes means that there is to be a super efficient technology-based system to do that. And then only the challenge will work. A lot of companies copy, and if you really go out and see, nobody really cares because they know that they're not fulfilling whatever they're telling. And that's why this never stays with them, and if anything which you really want to be passing as a value to a customer, unless and until you have really championed it so time and then you have very consciously go and communicate to that, it would not go through. I know a lot of companies having a lot of claims which customer doesn't even care what because they have not even setting expectations right. So another thing which is very important, set quality benchmarks and raise performance level, stop experimentation. Now, this is very, very important. Franchisee has tons of ideas that he wants to change this and change that and do this and do that. It is absolutely wrong. It's absolutely wrong. This is one of the areas, once your franchisee called you up and said, look, let me change this for a time, and you felt that it's okay, let me try that, you've done a mistake. You've done the mistake. You've encouraged somebody to continue to change things. And slowly, slowly, you will find a confused business model sitting there. And that would be actually given by your recommendation or your approvals that you have made a confused model. So no experimentation in business. Franchisee has to be run on a very, very structured and tight model. Limit franchisee not to overspend and reserve cash. This is again very important the first 3 months. First 3 months, franchisee is loving it. He wants to indulge, he wants to spend, he wants to tell the world that he got this business. Absolutely, most of the franchisee go bankrupt in the first 3 months, and business is not sustainable. I will always tell a franchisee and say, this is not a sprint. Don't try to and tire yourself. Don't try to run fast. It's a marathon. And if you really want to make the business model run, it's a marathon. It would take a lot of time. It will take a time. It is 18 months timeline. Before you can even say, I'm now ready, this business is now stable, and this would continue to grow. But unless and until you think that line, and some people would do first month itself, they want to do everything. They want to do all marketing, hire different agencies, do this, do that, and they burn all the cash which is available there. So tell them to reserve cash, reserve cash, reserve cash. 3 months, no rush to spend that kind of money, no reason to really have this spike in your business, which you would not be able to sustain. Help franchisee focus on key things, which is like retention of team. Most of the franchisee in the first 3 months lose their core teams, which they've trained. And the next team which comes in, because the business is already running, so they don't get the 1 month training capability, so they don't have the culture, and you have lost that. And I've seen this business start very well because they have full training capability, a lot of things, and then the core team is gone. Or it was too dependent on the HO team, which franchisor has sent, and franchisor pulls back the team. And then this whole thing is collapsed, and say you hire new, and these new people are not given that full cycle of training. So you are left with a lot of issues on that. So team retention in the first 3 months probably would be stand at number one goal, which you want a franchisee to focus on. Help him to develop his profit and loss statement. Very, very clearly, he will like to ignore that position first month or second month or third month because he sees that a business is just young and new. Doesn't matter. Even if the business is loss making for 3 months, which it would be because in the first 3 months, no business is profitable, but tell him to encourage him to do his profit loss statement, understand his cost levels, understand what is important and structure. Again, don't let him experiment too much. Suddenly he sees a loss and then he starts to change things. He wants to cut down cost and do this and do that. Educate him to understand the level and importance of business resources. So if you cut the resources, you cut the business, right? And also help him to build budgeting. How you do budgeting for next month? How do you do budgeting for the subsequent month? Work on the key pain points for the following month. What are the pain points which happened in the first month PL? Work on the next month, and keep slowly withdrawing your HO team from a day-to-day support, but keep the audit going. That's very, very important. This is your first 3 months of incubation period. Now, what do you want to achieve in the after 3 months? After 3 months, there has to be a strong quarterly operational audit. This is the first audit which you would do. It has to be a very holistic audit. This would need at least 2 to 3 days of a very strong time planning. Normally, take on a non-busy day so that you are able to do audit. Prepare your franchisee to be having a lot of data ready for 3 months, all the data which has been recorded. First, define the purpose. Why are we doing this audit? Audit is not policing. Please try to understand. It's not going to find out where franchisee is going wrong or what franchisee is not doing right. These are sometimes issues which people try to do that. Its actually purpose is to build operational and managerial efficiency. That's the purpose. That's what we want to do that. Second is, what is the goal? What do we want to achieve out of this audit? Audit is not about knowing where you're going wrong. Audit is about improving your financial performance, your skill assessment, and customer satisfaction. Only 3 things are important. If you are financially how do you improve your financial performance? Because this is what's very important for a franchisee to be profitable. He got into this business to make money. Second, is there a lack of skills which are available in the system? Improve the skill assessment, and then we can improve that. We know where the skill is. And third, eventually it's all about the customer, how customer is feeling about the business and how it is doing it. So if you define the purpose and we define the goals and objectives, then we make it collaborative. Collaborative means the franchisee encouraged to do this report, this whole audit. If franchisee is a team member doing audit, if he feels that somebody from outside is coming and doing audit, it doesn't work. Absolute doesn't work. It becomes a hide and seek kind of a situation. It looks like that everything you're pointing out is pointing out to the franchisee, his inefficiency. That's absolutely a blunder and a mistake. If you do it collaboratively, bring the franchisee and collectively, let's discuss as a collective business. It's not about the franchisor or a franchisee. It might be collectively what has been gapped. Then create a very sharp report, no big report. Audit might have taken 2 days, but you need to have a report which is maybe 1-page report or a 2-page report. That's what I maximum encourage. Simplest of the action points. Anything which is actionable and accountable. Actionable and accountable pieces in the report. Only 2 things, and everything which needs a very clearly an actionable point and needs to be done. Very sharp report has to be created. Set responsibility on improvement. Who is going to be looking at what function which needs to be improved? Track daily progress as an improvement cycle. So you need to define that, okay, next cycle of improvement is this, and this is a time frame it needs to fix that. Say, for example, I need a better technology improvement. So I want to do 3 weeks with my technology team to do this implementation. We were missing this piece which was not coming. My supply chain, my cost is a little higher. I want to work with the supply chain, with somebody from HO who is the head of supply chain, to work on the supply chain to get it more efficient. And the time frame we are giving is 3 weeks. So every actionable point would have certain amount of a timeline agreed upon, and the franchisee would then work on those timelines. Then we come to the 6-month action plan. Now, this is where you have incubated, right? 3 months are done. You've done multiple reports. You brought the business to a certain structure. Then we want to do a 6-month plan. Now 6-month plan has to be drawn very clearly. But what is your objective? First, go back and really see what do we want to achieve in this 6 months. First thing we want to achieve is sustenance of the business. We want to really see that the business becomes self-sustaining. That's very important. It puts a pressure out of the franchisee. He now feels that he's making money and he is able to revive the business and survive the business. His investment is being taken care. That's a sustenance of business. Second is retention of teams. Very, very important. And this is a time, either you become overconfident or you lose sight and you start losing your in the teams. And sometimes you lose the teams because you've done well in 3 months. Your competition in neighborhood always sees you. Like you were a salon, you had a great hairdressers, which you trained, and now you've done well in the first 3 months. Reasonably, you've come down, and the next opening which is happening in neighborhood actually wants to hire somebody from your side, and they sometimes become stupid also to give a little higher salary just because they want to poach people from the existing neighborhood. So retention of the team at that stage becomes very, very important. Franchisee motivation. Franchisee motivation has to be there because first 3 months, it was a business. You look at that franchisee is already 6 months into business. And if the business is not profitable, he's not motivated. 3 months, he's worked hard to get the business up and running. Now in 3 months, he's been working hard and still business is not profitable. So his motivation is really down. 6 months, if you not made money and you continue to spend and every day you go to a place and put money from your bank pocket, it has already gone into a very negative motivation. And this is one of the areas which I realized in franchises psychologically. It's for everybody. If say in the COVID period, if somebody was even a good person in a great job and lost his job for 6 months, and he had 20 years of service, a lot of savings, a lot of things, 6 months is not going to change much, right? But he is very disturbed because even if he's putting 50,000 for a home expenses and other things, this is coming out of his saving. It's not really changing his overall wealth, so to say, or his structure. But even 50,000 rupees, if you have to pay just to survive and say, by the time I get my job, looks very painful for an individual. Similarly, for a franchisee also, if he's now using his saving and continue to put in the business, his motivation is really down at that level. How do you really keep up his motivation? Show him some path, and the path is about incremental growth. If he sees incremental growth every day happening, he's continue to invest on that. Incremental growth, building a subscriber base, very, very important. How do you build more subscriber base? Reduce acquisition of cost for customers. So whatever we are spending, can we reduce that to get the same or more? But we don't have to spend same. Financial efficiency, very, very important. Financial efficiency is very important for every franchisee to do that. And franchisee, because of their early experimentation and things that sometimes are not very efficient, right? So you need to really tell the franchisee to really be very efficient, even to extend that put his own cost. If he's working as a CEO in the business, as a franchisee is working as CEO, he should also think that at the end of the day, he has to withdraw salary. He should component that also in his PL and see that piece and I think, and drive consistency. This is the time in 6 months, consistency would break. And this consistency would be very, very important to drive that. Then build, obviously, this can be done with process leaders. Every process leader has to be built. Devote some kind of encouragement for the franchisee teams. So whoever team member is doing well has to make a process leader so that he can really continue to champion that process. Address one issue at a time. Don't try to tackle all the issues. One issue entire thing. And please don't do any waiver for royalties. This is the area where a franchisee would come and say, look, I've not made money. I've been investing for the last 6 months and I don't want to pay royalties to you because, and then you see, oh, I also know that he's not making money. Let me waive off the royalty. The day you waived out the royalty, it becomes a habit because he will never be able to take that comfort that why he is sharing the fee with you. And that's a mindset. If you tell this is non-negotiable, I'm happy to put that same money or more on your business, but we will not change the terms of the agreement. We will continue to charge you royalty and we will invest higher with you, maybe higher than that also on your business, but royalties have to be paid. 6 months growth. Once you have sustained the business, now business is sustained. And the sustaining month, don't try to push too much, too fast. Again, remember it's marathon. It's not really sprint. So I would go into 6 months of growth plan. Now objectives here are very different. Here now, sustenance is done. Now I want to drive sales. I want to take the sales up. If I was gym, I've already reached to my 300 member base, but I don't want to stay there. My full potential is 1,000. I want to, in this 6 months, take that up. I want to really push them down. And because the business has come down to sustenance, cash flow is there in the system, and now I can push the growth. I want to really tell the franchisee, now is the time to go out and invest into aggressive marketing and systems because your business is now stable, structured in that. Another thing which we would do is work on improving your margins. How do we really improve your margins? New channels of sales. You might be not using some channels of sales and avoid that experimentation, but now we can choose new channels of sales. New product launches should come at this stage. This stage, not initial 9 months, no experimentation, let the stable things happen. But at this stage, you can look at product launches depending on the markets, the neighborhoods, and things like that. Elevation of your performing team. Now, team has been there with you now for 10 months. 1 month of pre-training, 3 months of incubation, 6 months of sustenance month, and now it's already 10 months. They need to be elevated. They need to go in this 6 months up. Most of them would cover 12 months, and they need to be incremented. They need to be elevated. They need to be going there. And franchisee at this stage, because the business starts settling down and starting giving profitability, is started to withdraw a little. They become lazy. They don't want to come to the business so often. They feel that everything is now remote control and things of that nature. How do you at this stage remind franchisee to continue to perform in his business? Continue to remind him that you are the CEO or get a CEO, because understand any business should need a leader. And if you don't have a leader, then business would always struggle because you will be always reactive to that. So refresh your marketing strategy, focus on customer retention, and monitor your competition. Now, at this stage, your competition would also start disrupting something because you're taking away customer from somewhere, from somebody, and they would start doing some kind of an action plan, which you not proactive, you start losing your customers very fast. And this happens with almost every company. And sometimes you have stupid customers. Like, for example, McDonald's is a great company, great company. But Burger King, I don't have the same opinion. While this is also a giant organization, but Burger King gets into sometimes things which are not required. Like pre-IPO, they went out and launched this 40, 50 rupees, 2 burger kind of an opportunity. Now, this is a disaster. Not only they did bad to themselves, They don't openly share their balance sheet in that, how this was had to them, because they were just driving the sales because of IPO. They wanted to drive the numbers. But truth is, this has no business sense. And McDonald's would not react so much. They would continue to not do it. But otherwise, they also go and just copy a company foolishness of your competition. You can do that. So you have to be very conscious. What do you really want to monitor? Sometimes a competition is trying to do some kind of blunder. Like in salon industry, we saw at one point in time, companies started giving these free coupons and giving this pedicure, manicure kind of free and a lot of other things. They killed the industry. They killed the industry because so much of discounting starting happening that everybody just started copying them. And that's wrong, because you don't have to follow. You need to continue to be making sure that end of the day, it is a franchisee's profitability which is important. Just to get a market share and killing the profitability is not the business you are in. So very, very important piece to do that. Then we go on the focus franchise. Now, this is very delicate part of it. This is also one of the things I am doing these days with a lot of companies coming to me and say, I have a troublesome franchisee, the franchisee is not profitable and so on and so forth, and we have issues going on. So I will first define what is diagnose the reason. What is the problem? It is a franchisee issue. He's not the guy you wanted and he is not following anything, or he's absentee, he's not there. It's a location issue. It's a business and operational issue. It is a team and retention issue. It is a quality of service issue. It is a cost efficiencies and margins issue. This also happens sometimes. You're doing everything fine, but you're not making money, right? So frustration is that, oh, I have sales, everything going on, but I don't make money. So it means that your cost efficiencies are somewhere being disturbed. You have no margins left for profitability. So first understand the issue. And sometimes there can be 2 or 3 issues in the business. Very, very clear, and set the objectivity. Then create a revival plan. Create a revival plan and set mutual accountability and record that with your franchise. Send him a complete detailed recording of structure and say, this we observed in your business. We feel that this is your revival plan and this is what we feel is expected out of you. Remind franchisee to focus on the key issues. Continue to document that and say, these are issues you need to really address that. Stop experimentation at this level also. And this level, a lot of foolish ideas come. A franchisee will say, oh, you might guided me wrong. I know how to handle my city. My city is unique. I want to do this way. I know I can change this. I can improve that. And you give liberty because you want to see him profitable. And he kills a business forever. He kills a business forever because sometimes you are giving somebody who's not so sure about that, goes out and experiments and kills the business. And I've not seen any franchisee coming back and say, well, you gave me liberty and I failed. Responsibility is mine. People would come and say, you gave me liberty, I don't care, but I failed, responsibility is yours. That's exactly what happened. So don't give them open freedom. Third is failed revival plan. Now, revival plan, you put your best, franchisee or maybe also put best, but it has failed. Resell the franchise. Give it to somebody else. It might not be the right franchisee to be in place. Second, both of you find mutual exit. Third, terminate. If he's not following anything, he wants to do something else, terminate that. These are very hard steps, but over my journey of 24 years and selling the most franchisee in the world, I can tell you sometimes straight discussion, straight positioning is much better than hanging around with the wrong franchisee. Now, second last, I will have to quick up because I have 7-8 minutes before the next webinar starts. So adaptation, innovation, implementation cycle. Now, ideas are the problem with franchisors and franchisees. They get so many ideas every single day that they can do this, they can do that. And the younger the companies, more experimental they are. Now, is it a good thing? Absolutely no. Not at all good thing. You need to first mature your business before you start duplicating. Once you mature the business, give your time of innovation cycle. Over experimenting things, changing things has cost and implications, and these costs can be very poor with your franchise, right? So objective, let's define the objective. You have to be, why you want to do adaptation, innovation, and implementation? Because you want to stay relevant. You want to be relevant. But at what stage you realize that 3 years I'm already in business in this location, I'm losing a little bit share because I'm not relevant. Understanding your customer priorities and how they're shifting, why they're shifting from you, why they're moving out. Adapting to micro demand might have changed. That neighborhood is now asking something else. Understanding the competition offering, and customer acquisition strategy. So all these are objectives. On this, I will go out and put a strategy and say, let's test and measure what we want to change. First, test and measure. Take maybe 2 or 3 franchisees, implement in them, and if this works in, great. Understand cost to benefit ratios. Is it cost going to everything change? Any change, innovation, implementation would have a cost. Would it change, put this kind of the right equal amount of benefit? What is the ratio coming out? Innovation cycle. What is a cycle you should manage, and what is the rationale of that innovation? Innovation is just not getting up in the morning and say, I have an idea, let me implement this. This is not done with networks. You need to find why I want to do it. What is the rationale? Look at a company like Dunkin' Donut, did biggest mistake with the biggest franchisee in the world. Jubilant Foods came and brought Dunkin' Donuts and started selling burgers and had no idea about what they were known for. They were known for donuts. People forgot that Dunkin' Donuts is actually a donut chain. They started seeing donut as a burger chain. It was a foolish idea. And that's now they brought Popeyes, and Popeyes is a sandwich and a burger chain, and they brought now to India. But I would say, I would give both companies, because they were large companies, Dunkin' actually agreed to give into the ideas of Jubilant, and Jubilant killed it, killed the great business. If they would have stuck to what small format of Dunkin' was actually about good donuts and other things, this might be a chain which was still great and running. And the kind of money they put in, they were not able to get any sense out of that. It was never close to, nobody actually prefers Dunkin' as a I think even you put so much of marketing, it didn't work. So refresh your training, which is another part of this piece. Final slide for today is implementing a ERR program. ERR program, let's define the program. Encourage monthly performance of franchisee and teams. How do you encourage monthly performance, monthly goals, monthly targets, and monthly achievements? Recognize quarterly sales targets and quality. And quality also is very important. Sometimes sales is happening, but quality is going down. Somebody who's driving quality also has very, very important. Reward, set benchmarks and rating for franchisee. He's a gold rated. Like one of the companies I run is a coaching company, it's a business coaching company. We have Spire, Gold, Platinum coaches. When you become a Platinum coach or a Gold coach, you don't want to do it because this is your presentation to your client. When you go to client and say, I'm a Gold coach, out of 1,400 world best coaches, I'm a Gold coach in that. And there is a position called master coach, which means that you're now a master. You can even train other coaches to come there. So these positions really matter. And what is the objective in this? You try to drive motivation. You want to drive peer-to-peer learning. I've realized people who become successful in a network and recognized, they volunteer actually to teach others because it gives them satisfaction and say how I did it and how I made this successful run writing. And there is no better learning than peer-to-peer learning than what you would do in writing and building the culture. How do you really continue to build the culture? This is a great thing to build culture in organizations and structure.